This is the most advanced power bank I've ever tested. Too bad I'm about to take it apart. Anker invited me to tear down their Prime power bank and show you what's inside. It should be interesting to see what goes into one of the most expensive power banks you can get. If you're curious about the specs, we're looking at a capacity of 26,000 mAh, big enough to charge a phone several times, but still okay to take on an airplane. But it is not the capacity that makes this power bank so special, it is the power rating, 140 watts for each USB-C port and 300 watts if you use all three ports at the same time. Very few portable batteries can do that. That is enough to charge 2 laptops at the same time at high speed. Charging the power bank itself is also really fast, up to 150 watts if you use one of the USB-C ports, or up to 250 watts if you use 2 ports at the same time. And the display is pretty neat. You get real-time power stats for each port and a temperature level. And if you have the Anker app, you can connect to the power bank over Bluetooth to see stats like power consumption and how much charge it has left. So yeah, this is a high-end product for anyone who needs both charge capacity and lots of power. Now let's see what hardware makes this possible. Before I begin, I have to say that opening a power bank can be dangerous. Puncturing a battery can cause fire, which is why I have discharged the bank in case anything goes wrong. Power banks in general are not supposed to be taken apart, so I am not surprised to see no screws anywhere. My guess is I will have to remove the front cover. Now I'm applying some high concentration alcohol around the edges. Hopefully this will loosen whatever glue is holding the piece attached. I'm trying to lift it from the side where the electronics are so that I don't puncture the battery by accident. That did not work, so now I will try using the heat gun. I'm heating up one of the edges using a relatively low temperature setting. After a couple of minutes, the glue loosened up and I was able to get my prying tool underneath. By sliding it around the edges, I removed the front cover but found nothing interesting. Looks like our way inside is from the back. I took out a clamp and applied pressure, hoping that would lift what appeared to be a back cover. I tried pushing in my prying tool, but with no success. I don't have time for this. Using my Dremel tool, I'm now gently removing material from the corner. Surely that power bank is not ever coming back together, but at least it is still within safe temperature. After a minute of using brute force, I was able to remove the back cover which exposed the electronics. A little bit of housekeeping. The first thing I'm noticing are all the kinds of tape, paste and compounds used on most surfaces. There is this green paper which is used for electrical insulation, as well as foam pads and graphite tape for heat dissipation. Not surprisingly, most of the internal volume is occupied by the battery cells. I see there's a gap between the outer walls and the cells, presumably to act as a protective buffer in case the power bank gets dropped or crushed. We see even more thermal compound of various types around the electronics. Here I'm lifting a flap that releases the ribbon cable from its connector. I noticed there's a small dent in the battery cell which I must have caused with my prying tool earlier. Good thing nothing bad happened. Next, I removed these 4 Phillips screws from the front side and cut the wires connecting the battery to one of the circuit boards. When cutting battery wires, always cut the black one first. With a little bit of force, I was able to extract the battery pack from the housing. I must have snapped this tiny ribbon cable in the process. Oops. Interestingly, the battery cells are covered by a generous amount of thermal paste. Meanwhile, the sides of the pack are wrapped in black and yellow layers of tape. The black stuff turns out to be graphite. In this case, it is used for its excellent thermal conductivity, acting as a heat sink and spreader. Notice what happens if I touch it with my soldering iron. You can see how quickly it pulls the heat away. But it is also highly conductive, which explains the yellow insulating layer and the green insulating tape. The battery pack is comprised of 5 individual cells. They're connected in series for a combined nominal voltage of 19 volts, though I'm measuring slightly less because they're all discharged. The battery cells Anker chose for this power bank are not off-the-shelf parts, which is why I cannot show you a datasheet. Anker tells me they're custom-made for this application. They also tell me the cells use lithium cobalt oxide chemistry for better energy density and power output. Meanwhile, the multi-tab design allows for a drastic reduction in internal resistance. Under this piece of yellow tape, we find a small NTC thermistor, which monitors the temperature of the battery pack. I was surprised to find just one temperature sensor for the whole battery pack, so I asked Anker. They said the batteries are so well matched and packed together that because of the high thermal conductivity, temperature is rapidly transferred to adjacent cells, so just one hardware sensor is enough. Anyway, these components are like small variable resistors whose resistance varies with temperature. Here's a battery cell that already has one built in. You can tell by the third yellow wire coming out. I'm now measuring the resistance between it and ground. If I touch the battery, the heat from my hand is enough for the resistance to drop, which can let the charging system know when the battery is overheating. On top of the battery pack we see more thermal foam and insulating tape. And underneath it is the Battery Management System Module, or BMS. The control chip is in the middle, and these two are power MOSFETs that can disconnect the battery pack in case something goes wrong. The markings on the chip tells us it's a Texas Instruments BQ40Z80, and in my opinion, TI makes some of the best integrated circuits for this application. It is not surprising to see that the battery tabs have been spot welded to huge metal pads on the circuit board, which creates a solid connection for large currents. The secondary housing to which the battery was attached is covered in even more heat dissipation graphite tape. That ribbon cable we disconnected earlier, it is for the pins on the bottom which connect the power bank to a docking station. Now I'm removing a couple of screws to release the main circuit board. While lifting one of the plastic covers, I accidentally ripped what appears to be the Bluetooth antenna. The main board can now come out of its housing, along with the display. Removing a thick layer of heat dissipation foam reveals the main processor, a 200 MHz ARM Cortex-M4. The chip managing the charging of the batteries is a BQ25756E, once again by Texas Instruments. It is probably working together with these power MOSFETs over here. Peeling off even more thermal compound from the other side reveals the Bluetooth module, which we can recognize from its metal shielding. And all of this pink and gray stuff is specialized filler, which is used to dissipate heat. It should also make sure that the parts are not affected by drops or vibration. So overall, there is a lot going on inside this power bank. It is reassuring to see the use of high-quality components, and lots of attention has been paid to heat management and dissipation. This electronics module, made of no less than 4 circuit boards, must have been a real challenge to design. It's amazing how compact they've managed to make it given the power rating of 300 watts. But if I had to guess, the most expensive single component in the whole power bank are the battery cells. These custom-made premium cells are one of the main reasons why this power bank can achieve and sustain the advertised power ratings. So there you have it, a $200 power bank taken apart. As always, let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and subscribe to not miss any of my future videos.